What is going on, everybody? My name is TheDizzyViper and welcome to today's tutorial. So in the past I've done a couple of these cool PSP photography renders and I've gotten them a little bit further out with some certain Motorola flip phones, some old digital cameras, and a lot of you guys have asked how I make these LCD screens. Now of course the LCD screens in my renders are a little bit too big, like the LEDs are they're a little bit too big, so you can see them in the renders. However, in this tutorial I will show you how to make this realistic LCD screen yourself, and it is very, very, very easy. So let's get right into it. So first what you need is a red, green and blue texture that represents your... So the first thing you need is an LCD pixel texture, and you can get these anywhere online. I prefer the texture pack by TheDizzyViper, which is on Gumroad. You can find a link to that pack in the description down below. TheDizzyViper in this case has packed a lot of these cool sub-pixel textures all into one pack and is very handy for these types of renders. This is what an LCD pixel looks like, so we'll use that as our texture. So going into Cinema4D and Octane, what you want to do is first you want to create a new Octane material, just a regular material, and go into the node editor. So the way the setup works is a very simple multiplication node, which is then plugged into the emission tab. So let's do that. So first we need an image texture for our image that we want pixelized. I right here have this really cool Windows 98 texture of the desktop. Let's leave that right here. Next we make another image texture, and this is now where we add our subpixel texture. So I right here have the subpixel pack by TheDizzyViper, and I'll add that, and I will take one of my favorite pixel textures, which is this one. Let's add that right here. Let's add a transform node right here because we need to be able to change the subpixel texture regardless of the overall image texture. Next what you will do is add a color correction node to both of these textures. This is just so we have a little bit of color control afterwards. Maybe you don't even need those. And now combine these two using a multiply node. Just like this. As you can see, now they are both combined. The last thing you want to do is add a black body emission node. Plug that multiply node right into that. And now connect both of these to the diffuse and the emission channel of your material. So right here and right here. And that is pretty much all that you need to do. Now, of course, if we now add this material to our model, what will happen is the pixels are way too big. And the way to fix this is just to turn down the scale of these subpixels using the transform node that we added previously. So if we go into a UV transformation right here of a subpixel, I'll use something like 0.005. And as you can see, now you can really see our image. And if we go close down, you can see that we have all these nice subpixels that turn on and off depending on the red, green and blue channels. Now there is a neat little trick that you can use in order to be able to control the saturation and color hue of each of the single color channels. And that is also a small step that we will do right now. In order to do that, all you need to do is right between the multiply node and the image texture of your subpixel, you will add a composite texture. Now we plug the composite texture right back into the multiply node, and inside your composite texture you're going to want to add 4 texture layers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the bottom one of these textures is just going to be a float texture, so let's add that as well. Float texture, set that float texture all the way to 0 so it's black, and plug that right into the texture tab. So next, these 3 texture layers here represent our channels, red, green and blue. So what you want to do is you're going to go into your first texture layer, set the blend mode to red, go into the second one, set that to green, and the last one you're going to set that to blue. So what we are actually doing right here is we are splitting our subpixel texture into its different color channels to be able to control each channel on its own. Now all you want to do is plug your image texture into the texture tabs of our texture layers. And as you can see, our final material should be going back to normal. If you look at it, it looks just the same as before. So now in order to control each of these layers by itself, you can add another float texture to each of these opacity channels right here. That's a float, and a float right here. And plug these into each of our opacity tabs. There we go. Now set every of these float textures to 1, so we go back to normal. So now you can control the brightness of each of the color values on the pixel with your float texture. For example, if I want the red channel to be less bright, I can just turn the red channel down, and as you can see, I'm only left with the green and blue channels. Now, of course, this setting is very delicate. If you put it to 0, your entire image is going to turn blue. However, if you're just looking for a little bit of color correction on each of the channels, this is how you would do it. So this is how I create my LCD screens in my renders, for example, the PSP renders that you all loved so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and follow on Instagram for more content. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.